The theory of creation. According to the theory of creation, the world was created by God all on a sudden by a single act of volition, with all its contents, that is, stars, planets, and species of plants and animals, in the same forms in which they now exist. The theory of creation may take two forms: absolute creation or creation out of nothing, and conditional creation or creation out of pre existing matter. Meaning, when we talk about the theory of creation, then we can see that the world was actually created by God, because that is the only knowledge we have in our mind. And He created the world out of a single stroke of volition. He created it out of His own independent choice and decision, and He put all the necessary contents in it, that is, stars, planets, plants, mountains, rivers, streams, human beings, and so on and so forth. Mm, and they now exist in the same forms as they used to exist in the time of the creation of the world. So the theory of creation again takes two forms, that is, absolute creation or creation out of nothing. When we talk about the theory of creation, then we learn that there are two types of the theory of creation, that is, absolute creation or creation out of nothing. When we talk about absolute, then we need to understand that absolute is something which has been created by God Himself, by His own act, decision, and choice. So, therefore, it is absolute creation or creation out of nothing. So, He put and created everything all by Himself out of nothing. And the second theory of creation is conditional creation or creation out of pre existing matter. Now, it may be that the world was created out of conditions. It may be that there was already pre existing matter or particles or phenomena that evolved into today's world that we see in front of our eyes. So there is absolute creation or creation out of nothing, and there is conditional creation or creation out of pre existing matter. And now we try to understand the first theory of creation, which is absolute creation or creation out of nothing. According to this theory, God created the world out of nothing by an act of divine fiat. So, according to the theory of absolute creation, God is the sole creator of the world. He has created the world all by himself with his own abilities and with his own choice and decision, and he has also put flora and fauna on this earth uh, all by himself, because the world is after all the creation of the Almighty God. Let there be world, and there was world. So it may be that he just wanted a world and he created it out of his own choice and decision. There was a time when there was nothing except God. So maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was a time when there was nothing with the exception of God. There was only the God and nothing or no one else. And God is an all perfect being, and as such had no need of the world. Now it is also true that God is perfect. God is the ultimate substance. God is the ultimate monad as well. And he has need of no other animal or being, because he is perfect and complete in himself and needs no other to be with him. Because he is all perfect being, and therefore he had no need of the world or the human or the animals, but he thought of creating the world to communicate his blessedness to the finite beings, and so created the world. But he may have wanted to create a world to which he would be able to communicate his message, wisdom, and lesson. through the different life forms that he was about to put on it. So, therefore, he created the world to communicate his own great message and wisdom to men and to the animals, which are the finite beings, because they are limited by space and times, and therefore he created the world. So, this was the absolute theory of creation, which is also the theory out of nothing. Now, we talk about the second theory of creation, which is known as conditional theory, or conditional creation, or creation out of pre existing matter. According to this theory, God created the world out of pre existing matter. He is like an architect who manufactured the world from the primitive matter. Matter and God are co eternal. The primordial matter was in chaotic state. God produced this cosmos out of that chaos, meaning out of the, or according to the conditional theory of creation, God created the world out of matter which was already existing in the universe. So there was scattered matter, particle, and different forms of rocks and solid items out of which he wanted to construct and created the world. And therefore, according to this theory, the God is like an architect. He is an architect, a manufacturer who wanted to create the world using the already existing or pre existing matter or particle in the world, which was primitive or old in its form. And therefore, he created it. And matter and God are co eternal. So the pre existing matter and God are eternal. They are connected to each other and they are both immortal. And the primordial or the ancient matter was in chaotic state because it was just chaos and destruction everywhere. And the God acted like an architect or a manufacturer because he had to create the world using the already existing matter. And God therefore produced this cosmos or solar system or universe out of those chaotic state of matter. So the following points are implied in the doctrine of creation. God existed all alone from eternity without the world, since being all perfect. So God was the only one to exist in the first place. There was no one except for God because He Himself is the creator of everything and everyone else, and therefore He has to exist in the first place. And He was there as an all perfect, all eternal being, and He had no need for the world. He created the world out of nothing or pre existing matter. And because the God was perfect and he still is perfect and he has no need of the world, he still created it to communicate his divine message and wisdom to the world using nothing or pre-existing matter. He created the world at a particular point of time. After creating the world, he left it to itself to be run by the forces put into it by him. So God created the world at a particular point in time, and after creating it, He left it to itself to be run by it. So the world or the planet Earth has been running all by itself once created. So God only wanted to create the earth or the world, and then He wanted to leave it as it is. And then He created also the life forms on it, and they evolved. And the world and the earth evolved naturally all by itself without the help of the God. God just helped in the creation of the world and the earth. And after creating it and all the species and phenomena, He left it everything. And He interferes with it to set it right. And sometimes He interferes with it when He sees wrongs injustices, immoralities, and so on and so forth, to correct those things, he interferes or intervenes in the world to free it from the atrocities, corruption, and dangers. Um, when seeds of decay appear in it, so when the world is about to be destroyed, he appears or intervenes and sets everything right so that it's not destroyed. So all the chaos and conflicts are settled by God so that they do not lead to the destruction of the whole world or the planet Earth. God is thus external to the world. So the world has been running, or the earth has been existing all by itself since being created by God. So God is a particular existing being, which or who is perfect. So he is an individual, and he has created an individual independent entity, which is the world and the solar system and the earth. So both are different and separate from each other, and the world is running all by itself, and so do its life forms. So God is not necessarily connected with the world because he has left it to be run all by itself, and intervenes only when he sees wrongs and seeds of decay. So God and the world are separate from each other because they are both independent of each other. God is the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient being, and he is all perfect, and therefore he felt the need of the world and therefore created it out of his own magical powers, using either his prowess or pre-existing matter, and then put all forms of life on it. And therefore he is external to the world and intervenes only when he perceives or sees wrongs, injustices, immoralities, and so on and so forth. So this is the theory of the creation of the world.